Welcome to the Executive Life ConvoCast. I am Dr. Jennifer, and we are so excited here at the KIT Institute to continually have this conversation with real women leaders about the ABCs of the executive life. Now, the executive life is not a title, it is a mindset. And we are hoping that their stories will help inspire you, elevate you, transform, and thrive in life. Today's discussion is on a very important topic: beliefs, our belief system. Ladies, before we get started, and I'm going to go around the room, let me give just a general definition of beliefs before I find out what your definition is. So, a belief, your beliefs are your perception of the way things are and what you believe to be true. When you believe something to be true, you will rarely question or think about the validity of that belief. And as leaders, my first question, Suzanne, how do you define beliefs?
What is truly on your heart?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I've had to do a lot of work, I think, of untangling as I became an adult and as I aged and matured, unwinding what were truly my beliefs versus what were beliefs of the people who raised me. And how their beliefs formed part of who I am, and some of those are still my beliefs, some of those are not, but they still have greatly had a great impact on who I am and even who I am as a leader. But I think at the end of the day, my beliefs are what are truly on my heart and what I believe to be true.
I love that. I love that. Jametta, how do you define beliefs?
So I define it as the truth that drives everything in your life, right? It drives your actions, it drives your non-negotiables, it drives what you believe about the world and the people in the world. And it is your absolute truth. So when no one is around or no one's watching, it's just, me, myself, and I, it's what I believe, what I hold as absolute truth. I think that's what belief is.
Okay. Dr. Baker, how do you define beliefs, your beliefs in particular?
Yeah, I think how Jametta defined it is exactly how I would define it, which is what you hold to be absolutely true, non-negotiable, and it drives everything you do personally, professionally, in your life, and also when nobody's watching. And so I could not have said it better. I would define it the exact same way.
Wow. Morgan, do you have a different take by any chance on beliefs, or how do you define them for yourself?
Yeah, I think to Jametta and Dr. Baker's point, the whole like the action driver, because I know a lot of times we might think that there's things that we believe, but it's like, is that really true based on how I'm living my life? And so ultimately, I think that beliefs are the things that drive your day to day. Like, this is how I, show up in the world. This is how I process what's going on in the world. Like, all of those things, I think, are the drivers of what you truly believe. Like, if you value human life, what are those drivers? How does that show up for you on a daily basis? And if you say that you do, but your actions don't align, I would question whether that's a true belief of yours or not.
Right.
That's an interesting point. So, Jametta, when you think about this topic, how have your beliefs impacted your personal, professional life? Just one way.
I believe it really dictates what I'm able to accomplish in life and in the marketplace. So if I don't really believe in my heart of hearts that it is something that I can accomplish, then I really don't do a good job of accomplishing that. But I found that in life, if it's something that I truly believe that I'm able to do, then I do it, and I do it well. And I kind of do it without any fear. And so I think that that's, key to driving the success of the thing, whatever it is. If I have belief that I can accomplish it, I can do it. So it really dictates my level of accomplishments in life.
Interesting. So for you, Dr. Baker, how have, or is there any one specific belief that has impacted your life or leadership? And what would that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, one of my core beliefs is that there's a purpose bigger than me, and that's grounded in my faith. And I show up with that every single day because I know that my purpose is bigger than my pain. When I walk through the world, and the world can be a challenging place, people are often like, "Well, how are you still smiling?" or "Why are you so unbothered?" Because I know there's a purpose bigger than myself. And so, because of that, when I think about the way I lead, when I think about the way I navigate challenging situations, whether personally or professionally, I'm sort of grounded in this faith that there's a greater purpose. And so I often don't get caught up in some of those, the minutia, because I know there's something bigger, right? And so I'm able to focus on that and put my energy towards that rather than focusing on the things that don't bring me joy or don't bring me life or don't, fulfill me. And so I really do think that for me, understanding that greater purpose has been a driving force throughout my life and why I'm able to show up the way I show up.
That's interesting that you say that. Suzanne, you mentioned this transitional beliefs, right? Are they mine? Are they mama's and them? Where did we get to? How did you get to the core beliefs that have impacted your life and leadership? And is there one in particular that you can really take us through the transition there?
Wow. I think it's a lot of unpacking. I think it's a lot of trial and error. Let's be real, it's a lot of messing up, especially when we're younger. And messing up maybe when mom and dad weren't right there to like bail us out, and other people there for us to figure out, okay, how am I going to unravel this and put this, all back together in my mind, what's going on. I also think it's also exposing ourselves to, as we leave home and we expose ourselves to other things, what we believe to be true when we were younger may be very different than what we believe to be true just based on our experiences and what we're exposed to as
Mhm.
we kind of unravel and land on what it is. And I think, it's interesting that when it comes to beliefs, and whenever I said, what's on your heart, what someone, like, if I say, I believe our main things are to like love God, love people, like, like if
Mhm.
that's, or to have a purpose, and those are like are my core things. That belief can be, somebody can like hold that belief very differently than somebody sitting right next to them
Interesting.
based on
Interesting.
their perspectives. And that's where I think you kind of have to figure out what is yours. There's a lot of studies and a lot of groups that they say why so many kids, kind of come unraveled, early in their adulthood, is because they haven't figured out what's different between what's their parents and what's theirs. And I think especially as, women growing up, figuring out what's yours. What do you believe about yourself in your leadership role versus what you were told you were supposed to be as a woman in leadership?
So it's interesting that the concept of beliefs, I believe that the construct of beliefs is part of how our mindset, how our mind is set. And in my own life, imposter syndrome, I believed for a very long time because I'm Black or because I am this shape or size or because I don't have this level of education, I believed that that limited and capped who I was and how I showed up in the world. I had to really struggle with believing I could raise four kids and bring them to maturity and fruition. And so this idea of how my mind has been set has been very real. And I've learned a lot of life lessons. I'd like for you, Dr. Baker, to give us one of the life lessons, your belief system or how you've believed about yourself. What have you learned based on that?
Mhm. Yeah, it's so funny. I can completely relate to and resonate with what you just shared. And, you'll recall when we met at the TED Women's Conference, I talked a lot about that. how oftentimes, your beliefs are shaped by what people tell you, your assumptions about the world, other people's assumptions about you, your assumptions about yourself. And for some time, I had that very same belief. That because I was usually, the only Black woman in the room, sometimes the youngest person in the room, maybe I did not know as much as everybody else knew. Maybe I wasn't as smart as everybody else was. But as you get older and you start to sort of navigate life and you come to understand that you get to really define, the language that you tell yourself, that that's all within your control. And you said something about mindset. And I think that once, you develop a mindset, that you're in complete control of how you define yourself, the language you tell yourself, how you decide to show up. It's so empowering that it's scary, right? The whole world opens up for you. And so one of my lessons in life was just that, was that I get to decide what I take in and what I leave out. I get to decide, what I tell myself about who I am. I can tell myself I'm smart and beautiful every day, or I can tell myself I'm not good enough. Both have power, right? And so for me, a life lesson is about the power in language and how that shapes, how you believe, about who you are and how you show up. And it's all within our control. And once we realize that, the whole world opens up to us.
I love that. Morgan, in your journey, how has or what life lesson have you learned about believing or what you believe about you and your life? Give us a life lesson.
I think what I've learned is that the beliefs don't have to be so rigid that there's no room for flexibility. I think that for a long time, I, only believed that things can only be a certain way, as very, very, very black and white. A lot of that just has to do with the way that my brain works. But learning that there, A, is room for gray, and then B, there's room for growth and change within the belief system. So like, even if, what I believe about my capabilities, right? I always used to believe, okay, I have to be the absolute best, period. Like that means like it does not matter how many people there are, I am the best of those people. That's just not feasible, right? Like there are certain things I'm just never going to be as good as someone else about that. However, the best then just gets redefined as I am going to do my best, or I'm going to operate in excellence. So being able to have grace within myself to, within my belief systems, understand where the limitations are, because they're like, we have limitations. Like we're not superhumans and can't do absolutely everything. And then operating, within that system so that it's healthy mentally for myself. Cause I know when I held that belief that I have to be the best and then wasn't, like there was just a crisis of identity and everything else that was avoided, or not avoided, but I was able to learn from it and move in a way that made more sense for me.
That makes perfect sense. As we're wrapping up our time, speed round. Jametta, give us one nugget of truth that has either brought you peace as it relates to your beliefs, or something that someone might be able to use if they've resonated with any of the examples or things that we've talked about. What's your takeaway, your nugget for us about beliefs?
Yeah, so I will share with you what I share with my sons throughout their childhood and into adulthood. You will have what you say. You will always have what you say. So then redirect what you're saying about yourself and about what you're saying about your world, what you're saying about your life. Because I truly believe that what you speak, that comes from a thought, right?
Mm.
And that thought comes from your belief. So
Mm.
if you say something that's not necessarily positive, then maybe you're believing something that's not necessarily positive. So redirect your thoughts so that you're speaking more positive things so that you'll have what you say. I will be successful. I will pass this exam. I will be the president of the Glee Club, or whatever it is that you want, you will have what you say.
I love that. Suzanne, give us a life lesson, a nugget, something that has either helped you or that you might think might help someone else as it relates to their belief system.
Yeah, your whole story, including your belief system and how you and what you did and how you acted and what you said based on your beliefs at the time and what you believed about yourself and all of those things, those are part of your story. now and moving forward. You can let those bring you down. You can be sad, you can be shameful, you can be stuck there, or you can take part of your whole story and use that to shape your belief system to be a better person and help people more in the future.
I love that. Dr. Baker, what's your life lesson, your nugget to give that's helped yourself or that you feel might be helping someone else as well?
Yeah, I want to go back to something that Suzanne said, which I thought was really important, which is that we could all have the same belief systems, but it might show up differently. And so with that, I would just offer that we should own what we believe, but in a way that moves ourselves and others towards the greater good, right? Because oftentimes those belief systems can have a counter effect. And so if what you believe is not moving you or others around you to be better than how you found it, then you might want to reevaluate what those beliefs are.
Wow, guys, powerful, powerful conversation.
So that's all we have time for today. These conversations support our mission to help build leaders that other people want to follow. If you'd like to unlock the free resources that we have attached to this topic, or if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter, you can visit us at kitinstitute.org, and we will see you next time.